Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share yet another update on my experience with the Microsoft Surface Laptop 3. Now, this is the 15-inch version, for those of you that are wondering. Of course, they also make a 13-inch variety. That version is powered by Intel 10th Gen Ice Lake processors. This one, on the other hand, is powered by AMD processors and has an AMD GPU. You can get the 15-inch version of the Surface Laptop 3 with Intel internals. However, that is not what you will find in retail stores. So for those of you that keep asking me why I don't have the Intel version, it's because the Intel version is not what Microsoft is mass marketing to the public. In fact, most people don't even know that the 15-inch version can come with Intel inside. You see what I did there? But moving away from that, my review and coverage of this is consistent whether we're talking about the AMD build or not. I really don't believe that the Surface Laptop 3 in this 15-inch variety is worth consideration. It's not that it's a bad machine. The build quality is good. The display, I would say, is of average quality. It's not high enough res, in my opinion. If you're someone who believes in full HD displays, then of course it's beyond full HD. So it checks that box for you. In fact, you may not want it for that reason. But from a pricing perspective, battery life perspective, port selection, I just feel this machine comes up short in pretty much every way. Now, the Intel version of this machine is definitely the better option. So don't be confused in terms of what I just stated about the machine itself. The AMD version is hot garbage. I'm saying that now. I've said it before, and I'm consistent because it is really bad. In fact, the processor and GPU combo in here has no business being in a machine that is $1,700 US, and that's exactly what this build costs. You've got the Ryzen 5 with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's just so overpriced for what it is. I mean, yes, Microsoft does put together nice machines that have the cleanest install of any PC out there, but I really cannot bring myself to recommend this to any of you. This isn't my full review. My full review is coming, though, but I just wanted to check in case people were wondering why I haven't revisited the Surface Laptop 3. I highly recommend the 13-inch model, 13.5-inch model. I think that is the sweet spot. I think that Microsoft could have kept it there. I think they thought that, like what they had done for the Surface Book, this would be smart to introduce a larger machine. And I don't think that's the mistake. I think the mistake is not giving us more. It's giving us the exact same experience with a larger display. And that's kind of like going from, a nearly 7-inch phone, like my Note right here, to an 8 or 9-inch tablet, but spending a considerable premium on that just for a larger display. And it's a sideways move, to say the least. So while I like this machine and would prefer it with Intel internals, as I've said, I do not recommend the AMD internals at all. And that's not because AMD isn't doing things right. It's just in this build, it is a complete ripoff. This is a fleecing if there ever was one. I mean, everything works fine. It just doesn't work well. Battery life is not good enough. This is a fairly bulky machine, even though they've kept weight in check and quality control is very good. Touchpad, keyboard is good. I just think it's a blah machine. I mean, a lot of people are in love with the design. I think the design is fine, but I also don't think that it does anything to differentiate in any meaningful way. And I know a lot of people are in love with the 3x2 display. I get that. You want more height. You've got it. But overall, as I have been saying and will continue to, I cannot recommend this in confidence to anyone. If you want a 15-inch Microsoft product, I highly recommend going to the Surface Book, even though it has older internals. It is a far better machine. Yes, it is more expensive, but since it's older, you can find comparably priced Surface Books at this point. That is the Surface Book 2, of course, in the 15-inch capacity, and I recommend that. I mean, the lack of I/O on this machine is inexcusable. I mean, this is pretty much an Apple issue. I mean, I've got my HP Spectre in the background, and that just takes a crap on this. And considering the Spectre is less expensive, even in the Core i5 variety, I mean, under $1,000, it outperforms this and its 13.5-inch counterpart in every way. So I wish I had better things to say about my experience with the Surface Laptop, but, no Thunderbolt. You saw the ports. I mean, we literally have their proprietary charging port, a Type A, a Type C port, which you can charge from, and then a headphone jack, and that's it. Say goodbye. I mean, this machine is about as limited as it gets. I mean, in the crop of machines that I have been reviewing, the Spectres there, the C940s to my right, the Razer Blade Stealth 13s to my left, and this isn't a song, I'm not getting stuck in the middle. It's just the worst of all of the laptops that I am covering. 2-in-1s, traditional laptops, this is the worst. Now, the 13.5-inch model on sale, if the price is right, I recently saw a Best Buy sale. I think it was $799. It was either $799 or $699 for the Core i5 with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. That's still expensive because, again, in my Spectre coverage, I've talked about that the Core i5, Intel, of course, Core i5 10th gen version of this machine has been as low as $899, and that's with, I'm trying to remember, that was with 8 gigs of RAM. I would take this 2-in-1 over that machine any day of the week. But if you absolutely must have the styling and build quality, which is better, the build quality part. I don't know about the styling. I mean, the 13.5 is a cute machine, granted. But outside of that, with the HP, you have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. You have a micro SD card slot. There's just so much more going on. You have a Type A port. Here, the 13.5-inch has the same I/O, which is trash, basically. I mean, this is as clear a shot at Apple as they could possibly make it. And that's what the first and second generation Surface laptops were as well. And that's why I really wasn't interested. I am interested in innovation. I do not see the Surface laptop as innovative. I do see it as filling a gap in Microsoft's product pipeline. And that's exactly what it does. But for me, again, I cannot recommend this to any of you. It just falls short in too many ways. The only thing that's nice about it is its build quality. Above and beyond that, it's just an overpriced Windows 10 machine that underperforms. Of course, if you get it fully spec'd out, it will perform better, but it'll still leave at least me desiring more, especially at its price point. I mean, if you're going to take on their most expensive configuration of this or the 13.5-inch, I have to ask what other machines you're looking at. And please, if this is your favorite machine, in the comments, tell me what other machines you've considered, because I feel like the majority of users that are picking this up are people crossing over from Apple. Not all of them, but a large percentage. And that's what Microsoft's been trying to do for years now. And maybe they're succeeding. But for me, having been a PC user, Windows person for many years, Microsoft isn't going to get me with this one. And if you follow my channel, you already knew that. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them, hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.